Hey, what's up, y'all? Got a little something different today. This is the first like truly flat sprint stage, and as such, I think a lot of people are going to gravitate to that final time slot, which I sort of can't do, shouldn't do. Also, I'm afraid to like sacrifice my GC position by doing that final time slot. So I figure, I mean, I'm going to be trying my best to ride pretty efficient, take some hard pulls today. But I figured what I would do more than anything else today, and I set the stream to a lower latency. So I don't know, we'll see how that goes. This is also sort of a test of the lower latency settings. Figured what I would do is talk through riding efficiently on RGT, talk through the draft, talk through the mechanics of like how the pack snaps itself together. And while I'm doing that, also I will be watching the chat a little bit more too. So if anybody wants to talk, and I'm saying all this assuming I think I should be able to talk most of this stage because none of the other huge powerhouses are here, and it's relatively flat. So I think I'll be able to chat the whole time. And basically this is like, for me, this is like when you see the GC guys or like the mountain climbers on the sprint stages kind of sitting toward the back of the pack. So speaking of which, if you guys want to talk about the actual Tour de France, love to talk about that. RGT mechanics, Zwift mechanics, talk about the Sturzo. But basically what I'm going to be doing as I'm riding along is just sort of talking through how I'm trying to save energy on RGT and then how the game works. So it does, like, this whole system works way differently than other cycling simulators or cycling games like Zwift. So I would actually make that distinction as like RGT is a cycling simulator. This is like Forza or like even more like the Formula One racing simulator or something like that. And Zwift is more of a game. Zwift is Need for Speed or Mario Kart or whatever. You know, you got power-ups. It's a much more like gamified. It definitely has some MMORPG elements too. I mean, it's basically an MMORPG. This is actually like just a simulator, which I think is why I like racing on it. But with that in mind, if you look at a pack on Zwift, it's doing all that like swarm of bees kind of like interlocking and weaving all around. This doesn't do that. Like, there's a little bit of like you're allowed to sort of clip through people in a few distinct scenarios, but I think I've even figured out how that works. But like this game will force you to brake in situations where you might have to brake in real life. It basically, for the most part, only allows one person to be in one place at the same time, and you don't see that like side to side phasing through like you do on Zwift. Ooh, I should actually get ready to go here. I'm actually like wearing the right kit today, kit specific. So it seems like I got about like a 7-second delay on my stream. So if you guys say anything in the chat, I should be able to see it. First thing I'm going to note today is that it is relatively flat. There's a couple little lumps. So I hiked my trainer difficulty, or feedback intensity as it's called on RGT. I hiked my feedback intensity all the way up to like 85%, which I normally race with it much lower. And I do that so that I won't have to shift the front ring. But we got nothing today that I think I'll have to shift the front ring for. All right, there's the flyover. Always got to be ready for these RGT starts. I think we're going to have a small group today. I don't want to break it, but I do want to get us going pretty fast. Fast is going to be fast and smooth. Name of the game today. So, let's see. Samu made it. He's good. Drader made it. Good to see. So we got some motors in here. We shouldn't be lacking too bad. So yesterday we set the benchmark, and then I think only big corner. Got a punch out of this one. So there are a lot of corners on this course. Got to make sure I keep my position pretty decent. What's up, Kyle? So I guess that's the first mechanic I should get into on RGT. It does actually make your avatar slow down for the corners. And it also, you saw it on that last corner, much like in real life, you see the peloton string out single file. When you're going fast, it's a sharp corner, and there's basically just like one good line through it. Rather than the entire swarm of bees just whipping around that corner at 30 miles an hour, you do actually have to slow down, and all of your avatars have to find the line as well, which creates an effect that you get in real life, especially any criterium racers out there will know this. We call it the accordion effect. It's basically like first guy through the corner gets the best line. Say maybe the second guy taps a little brake, next guy taps a little harder, because you don't actually know when the guy in front of you is going to let off the brakes. So that effect tends to kind of magnify as you go backwards. And as you move through the pack, it's like farther back you are, the lower your speed is at the apex of the corner. And then sort of magnifies the effort you have to do coming out of the corner to stay on. I think a lot of people, I mean, it's happened to me before. A lot of people on RGT are used to just hanging out in a blob, sort of as long as you're pedaling, you'll stay in there. RGT, it's more like real life where your actual position relative to the other riders in the group makes a pretty big difference. So like you saw right there, I was kind of way over to the left. Peloton shifted on me, put me out into the wind, and I had to do a big surge to get back on. That's what happens in real life. Like, if you're kind of dangling, somebody lets a gap go out, you got to surge to get back in there. So I know people get frustrated by that because they think it's Zwift, but like, see right there, the guy in the blue knocked me off that wheel. This is a key thing I want to get into. You'll see my avatar, like, as I'm coming up on the pack, kind of diving, looking for what wheel to get on. And I think how that's calculated, like how it chooses who the draft is, basically tries to find someone who's doing a similar relative speed to you. And that's not relative power, that's relative speed. The difference is, if you're in the draft, to do the same power, to do the same speed, takes a lot less power. So, and then because of that effect where kind of only one person can be on each wheel at the same time. When the guy in the blue knocked me off the wheel I was on, he was actually matching the rider I was drafting. He was matching the pace a little better than me, and that's how it chooses to give it to someone. So then what I had to do was back off for a second and then get on his wheel, which, like in real life, someone comes, you pull off the pace line, they're all coming back past you, then you have to put in a little surge to get on that last guy. Like right there. I just had to do a little surge to stay in the draft. And when you see it line up sort of left to right like that, because a lot of guys are doing not just similar speed, not just similar power, but similar speed. So they have to do similar speed to get into that formation and similar power to hold it there. So with that in mind, you kind of got to think about, like, this guy in front of me, GIB, I don't know how to say that. If he let off his power and a gap went out, I could stay on his wheel. Looks like we got a little attack from Badkey there. I could stay on his wheel in his draft, perfectly locked in, but we're both slowing down. So I'm going to stay locked to him. He's not going to just slide backwards past me the way we might in Zwift, unless I raise my speed and then my avatar goes, okay, that guy over there is doing about the same speed as me. Let's lock onto him. So, and I hear a lot, especially on this Tour de France or Vive la France event on RGT. I've heard a lot of people saying, it's so hard for me not to shoot out the front and shoot out the back. It's like right here, I gotta make sure I get on. That's a crucial moment. You can see the shape of the pack change. Gotta make sure I grab onto a draft. But now I'm in it, back way off. Yeah, that off the front, off the back, I mean, you can see I went through a little bit right there, but that's I've been able to stay pretty well in the middle in the draft this whole time, and I'm doing that by managing these small surges based on where my avatar is in the pack, where the other avatars are. And if you're wondering, right up there, there's a graph that's telling you who you're drafting, how much you're saving. So like right now, I'm on K. Mullen's wheel, saving 200 watts or so. Let's get back in there. There we go. And it gives you a visual representation of that, so you can really keep track of it. Any of that tripping anybody up, hit me up in the chat if you've got like RGT mechanics questions. I think at this point, other than people who work for RGT, I might be the foremost scholar on how this stuff works. I think I looked on the app and I've done like 60 something races on RGT at this point. And a large number of those were also streamed or commentated, or the big thing is doing the breakdowns. I'm figuring all this out when I'm going back and doing the breakdown. So the next thing I'll talk about is virtual braking, which if you look top left, I got a power graph up there. I'll switch to the power graph once you're sort of stably in or out of the draft. It's the spiky little graph up there, and there's some red spots on it. those are the spots where your avatar is tap, tap, tapping the brake. And I think a lot of people talk about it as wasted watts, which I think is maybe a little simplistic. Not necessarily. So it does make you, when you're in the draft, like a little spike right there, when you're in the draft, if you're coming right up on someone's tail and you're both doing a pretty similar relative speed, like right there, red power for a second. Ooh, got a corner coming up, so probably need to make sure to punch out of this little S-bend. We do have a good line on the inside here. Nice. So that's a good example. There's sort of two reasons it'll make you brake. One is a corner, and that's basically done just by figuring out, there's some sort of algorithm that's like, how steep is the corner, how fast are you going, and it'll cause you to brake an amount that sort of, you know, reflects about what the speed limit for that corner might be in real life, or kind of what an average rider would do on that corner in real life. And the other reason you'll have to brake sometimes is you're drafting somebody, you don't necessarily have somewhere to go around, your avatar will just kind of tap right there. Just tap the brakes. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, don't totally get that, but if you've ridden in a big peloton, you understand all those moments where you really have to just tap the brakes to keep the gap right where it needs to be, or let off the power, whatever it is. But the point is, it doesn't work like the Peloton does on Zwift, in the sense that basically you're in the Peloton getting the full benefit of the draft, and there's kind of like no penalty to pay as far as like positioning, or there's nothing that makes you slow down. None of those dynamics of the pack that make it a little bit harder to navigate. Like on Zwift, you can get in the center of a 100-person pack at the very back and just launch an attack. On RGT, you really have to wait for a moment where your avatar has a little hole to go through, where you got some speed, because the thing it will do, it'll let you phase through riders. But what I've found is, it seems like it really only lets you go through smoothly without a little bit of that virtual braking. If you create, RA might be putting an attack. If you create a speed differential before you get to them, so you're going significantly faster before you're real close to them. I think a lot of people, the first time they see RGT, their first thought is like, this looks way different from Zwift or really any of the other sort of racing training apps out there in terms of the pack dynamics. I get comments on YouTube all the time that just say, this pack looks way more normal. Like, see, that guy kind of elbowed me off the wheel there. You never see that in Zwift. It's just kind of, he would have phased right through. Can't remember if I mentioned this, but I think I did, crank up my trainer difficulty so that the couple little bumps out here don't catch me out. The point of that is, on a race like this where it's a lot of very even spinning, you can get used to it, and then maybe there's a little, check out this town sign. So RGT Magic Roads, which this course is procedurally generated in the computer from GPS data of a real road in France, and then the scenery is all procedurally generated at random, basically. But the point is, it takes that GPS data, takes the town name, puts it on the sign, which is cool. It also does a thing where it takes the biggest climb of the day, I believe, makes a little triangular gradient sign that has the average grade of the climb at the bottom. There's a lot of cool stuff like that. Puts mountain goats up on top of the mountains. Pretty awesome stuff. So yeah, for anyone who says like, I'm just slingshotting all over the place on RGT and I can't control it, watch me. You just gotta learn. It's just different from Zwift, which like, again, I guess I should stress this. I do not hate Zwift. Love riding on Zwift. Love racing on Zwift. It just kind of is its own thing though. Like, Zwift is one flavor and this is another flavor. And I've been saying it a lot recently, but like, I don't know, nobody buys a PlayStation to only play Red Dead. Even within people who are like, I only play shooters, you know, they're playing Fortnite or Apex, or like they're switching it up. They're playing whatever's cool, whatever's fun, whatever has people on it. That's kind of where I'm at, and like, I love the super community-driven side of RGT. Like, this race is completely put on and run by Team Walker KG, and they got a little gap going out. Got to get that. Got to monitor that. See, those are the micro surges that maybe you don't get on Zwift. But yeah, they got a little bit of support. Oh, you're good, cycling fan. We're just kind of chatting about RGT mechanics, but if you want to watch the beginning, it'll be on YouTube after this. The replay should go up almost instantly. If you got any questions about RGT, or you just want to talk about the Tour de France or whatever, throw them in. I was basically saying that Team Watt KG basically just decided, gotta get on right here. Oh, you were late to this race time itself. Well, that's a bummer, but you can watch this and figure it out. And then, hey, did you see, speaking of Team Walker KG, doing an amazing job with this event, several people have like missed a stage here or there. Either of the rest days, you can do makeup stages. So, you can make today your makeup, make today your rest day, come into the huge climb tomorrow fresh, and then hit this flat one on Monday, which will be the first rest day. So, yeah, Team Walker KG, I mean, how RGT works is like, anyone with a premium account can set up events. So, and you can make those events public or private. If you make it public, you get more than 20 signups, start showing up on the app for everybody. So basically, Walker KG made all these courses, all these events, promoted it, got people to sign up. They didn't need to like contact RGT HQ to do any of that. They could just decide, we're putting on like basically the first ever stage race on an online racing platform, full 21-day, not first stage race, sorry, first Grand Tour stage race. They could just decide to do that and do it. And they did, and it's awesome. And so then when people in the community, people on the team were saying like, hey, I missed one, I want to stay in it, they could just come up with a way to do makeup stages, which they want to keep it, and I love this, like, this race is as long as the Tour de France is. We're racing until the Tour is done, that's it, which I love. So the approach of making the makeup days the rest days makes a ton of sense. You miss one, you just made that your rest day, boom. Or you could flex that around. That's another part of me doing this earliest time slot is that I'm a big corner. Got to make sure to stay on. Another part of me doing this earliest time slot is if I miss one, I can make it up. And if I need to do like a create your own rest day, I could basically do this time slot, which is midnight 30 in British summertime, and then I could do the 1830 British summertime slot the next day, which would give me almost 48 hours between. So I'm giving myself a lot of leeway, both in terms of mechanical redo, which I did on stage 2. Ooh, okay, this is another thing that happens. Pack moved over on me, left me out of the draft. Got to put in a little surge there to match your speed to theirs. So once you match your speed, then your avatar will dive over, but not until you've matched the speed. And it's hard to match the speed when you're in the wind. But that's another, if you watch real life like sprinters, one thing they'll do is before they launch a sprint or before they launch an attack, oftentimes they will swing over to one side of the road and then gun it. And they do that for sort of the exact inverse reason of what just happened to me there. If you move over, take someone out of the draft, they have to do a bigger effort to get back to you. Like, watching the shape of the group right now, not totally satisfied to be that far back on that little dangling appendage, so I decided to move up. Now I'm going to stay up. Later in this stage, I'll probably start taking some stronger pulls. I basically accepted that 1830 British summertime, they're going to take some time on us on this stage because they just get the most people. Big ups to this Imjibo guy who's taking the reins here and there, keeping the group moving fast. I will do some of that later in the stage for sure. But yeah, I've basically accepted that 1830 slot is going to take some time on us here. Now, I could gripe about that. Oh, okay, Billy, that's a great question. Billy asked the numbers, just popped up there, 180 and 360, 180 and 250. What do those numbers mean? In that top left, when it switches to this graph, what do those two numbers mean that are sort of grayed out on either side? Those are giving you, what's up, Tim? Thanks for the ride on. Appreciate it. Those two numbers is kind of a range of what it's going to take you to stay in that person's draft based on the speed you're going, speed they're going, wattage they're doing. So the number on the left is what would get you dropped at that moment. Number on the right, it'll even say pull over that number on the right. That's what you would have to do to take the pull. And obviously those are constantly fluctuating as the rider you're drafting changes the power they're doing, or maybe they go from first wheel to second wheel. But that's another one of those like visual indicators. Like RGT gives you so much to work with in terms of data and gear and data points, I guess is what I'm going for. So just riding in the pack surf and wheels like this is so much more engaging on RGT than it is on Zwift. On Zwift right now, I'd basically be just mindlessly spinning 200 watts, not really watching anyone's position in front of me on the road. I would just be watching for splits and flyers. Yeah, Cycling Fan said he raced first time slot yesterday. I felt like this was better if you're looking for a race simulator. I agree. This is a race simulator. And it's a really good one. It's so much more nuanced. And I think people coming over from Zwift who are used to less nuance get frustrated because they're like, why did I get dropped? I was doing, you know, whatever, 200 watts the whole time. It's like, well, you're doing 200, but the group swung over to the right. So you should have done 400 for 5 seconds to get back on. And if you ever raced on the road in real life, I mean, you know that's basically what road races are like. It's a lot of trying to ride as efficiently as you can most of the day, and then identifying those key moments where you need to go really, 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 really hard. And depending on what race it is or what your strategy is, that key moment could be halfway through, I'm going to try and get a breakaway, and then I'm going to lock it into my FTP. Or it could be literally the entire race, I'm going to save as much as I can, and then I'm going to drop the bomb 5K out. Try and do, you know, whatever, 700 watts. Ooh, okay. Right here, that's a key moment. Got to get across that. And notice I didn't sprint super hard to get across that gap. I wanted to weld that, meaning I wanted to take all these guys that are behind me in my draft up to that front group, rather than the other technique you can do is watch that gap go out, go out, go out, let it go out to a distance that you think you can cover, but it's a significant gap. It's a gap that there's not just drafting hanging out in the middle there. And then full sprint, shoot across the gap really fast, and then you haven't given anybody a free ride. Free ride meaning like they were in your draft while you towed them up. That is what I would do if I was really worried about sprinting any of these guys. I would be looking to continue breaking this group down. And how I would do that is either attacking myself, or in those moments, I would be trying to go across and not take anybody with me. So call that riding someone off the wheels. If you, like if I kind of got in the middle here, no one on my wheel right now, but if I got in this position, there were a few guys behind me, and then the pace ramped up and I didn't ramp with it, let a gap go out, and then jump across it. That's riding someone off the wheel. And basically it just makes everyone behind you have to do at least the effort you're doing, if not a little more. And they also have to respond. See, you're in control of that. So you know I'm going to do a full sprint in 5 seconds. They may not be ready for it. And that's how you catch some people off the back of the group, thin the group out. I feel like it happens more in crit racing than anything else. So, oh, this is going to be a long one. So, I'll talk a little bit about my competitors. I learned some stuff today about some of the guys I'm racing against. There's a, I'm going to look at it actually. There's an Australian guy. Ooh. There's an Australian guy who's racing, who is a former Olympic rower. And not only is he an Olympic rower, he won bronze at the London Olympics. Let's see, he is looking for that name. Ooh, Samu. I wonder if Samu's watching the stream and wanted to catch me looking away for a second there. That's a sneaky move. But we're going to weld it back together here. This is welding. And sit in this gap. Let everybody else get on. Honestly, that's good because it's going to keep us moving fast. we need to be going 26 miles an hour at least this whole time. There's also Heiko Hormighausen, who is second on GC right now. He is currently a pro Conti rider in Germany, I believe. Looks like he rode, look him up on Pro Cycling Stats, that's what I did. Looks like he rode Tour of Wallonie a couple years ago. So he's like, not Tour de France level, he's like one level below that on the pro Conti scene. But basically, that's like the hardest place to be in my mind. Pro Conti, I mean, World Tour's hard, but Pro Conti, you're basically fighting it out with guys who are young, hungry, making no money, and have like a taste of maybe going World Tour. So the level of like, and it's also hard because you have like no support. Like a Pro Conti team, what you have to work with versus what a true pro team has to work with. A World Tour team, whew, yeah, okay, there's that lined up, ideal line through the corner thing I was talking about. That really affects the dynamics of a race. So if you're racing later, watch out for those corners. But yeah, Pro Conti team, so hard because you're not being taken care of in the way that World Tour riders are. Like, there's a big thing a few years ago when Sky brought an RV for one of their riders to sleep in, rather for their GC guy. I forget who it was that year. To sleep in at a stage race rather than like the crappy hotels they were staying at. You're not getting that in a Pro Conti team. If you want to look at what really racing Pro Conti means, check out Phil Guyman's first book, Pro Cycling on $10 a Day, which is kind of a joke title. But the point is, he's racing at an elite level on a budget of basically nothing, like living out of the back of his Saturn hatchback, trying to be an elite athlete. Ooh, big acceleration. I think what happened there was there are 4 or 5 guys who kind of slingshotted through the draft at the same time. You can also watch your position coming into those S-bends and kind of know if you're on the inside, you're going to make up a little ground. If you're on the outside, you probably need to punch a little harder coming out. But yeah, I say all that to say, this guy Hormighausen, who is second on GC right now in this race, in the overall, he's a super legit dude. Another guy who's top 5, bronze at the London Olympics. So we also have Ed Laverick coming in and out. Billy, I'm not sure why some riders get the nameplates and some don't. That might be a setting I have on my end. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I had it set to where only some people, there's 3 settings for that. One setting is where, oh, you know what it is? It's only people who are on screen when you hit it. So like, this guy in the blue on my left, he was behind me when I hit give everybody a name tag, so he didn't get one. I think it's only people that are in your field of view, but I'm actually not mad at that. I think if everybody had a name tag and you're riding in a really, really serious peloton, in fact, I'm gonna turn them off. Makes it a little easier to see, and like, I'm not super worried about who everybody is. I can see their watts per kilo straight ahead of me. So if anybody makes a big acceleration, I can see who it is and what they're doing. Probably time for me to take some, oh, I'll talk about this. This is another feature of RGT. Make sure I get through this bendy section okay in the wheels before I do this. One thing people are always talking about on Zwift is being able to customize the heads-up display. People are always asking, like, who's Samu? Looks like he's making a play. So again, welding it, getting in that draft, and just keeping it together. Because I want this whole group to keep going fast. Hey Dave, wish you were in this group. We could use some more motors. Got Dave Daly, I believe. Dave, you're Australian, I believe, correct? I'm learning a lot of new racers, so it's hard to keep everybody totally straight, but I think I'm right on that. But yeah, the customizable user experience, people are always on Zwift like, I want to get rid of this element or that element, or add this element or that element. So RGT, you actually can, I can just hide all of it, have a totally clean view. And one cool thing about this view, I know this probably sucks for you guys watching my race, but Dave's working, so he's doing the late one. Well, Dave, if you were gonna do the late one, this is the stage to do it. Y'all go so much faster than us. Crucial moment. And we're on. So, one cool thing about this view though, the totally like clean view, is I do have, so RGT uses two apps, kind of like Zwift and the Zwift companion app. Got another app on a tablet on my bars. And riding like this, it's like riding outside with a head unit, like a Garmin or something. You can ride with just a totally clean view, and then still have my data in front of me where I can see it. And also bring that back and then choose, maybe I don't want this, maybe I want to add the chat in. So get rid of that, get rid of this. So you can really see what you want to see and get rid of the stuff you don't care about, which is cool. Cycling fan, I don't know how long you've been on RGT, but we have a couple really good crit series. That's actually how I got like fully stuck into this platform. There's a guy who's racing this, whose name is Alex, who puts on a Thursday crit series. If you go back through my videos, it's pretty cool. We would use, it was every Thursday, we'd use Magic Roads to recreate a famous crit course from around the world. We did, let's see, what were the best ones? I mean, we did a few that are pretty straightforward, like the Tour Down Under crit course. Then we also did some crazy ones, like, I don't know if you're American, but if you're an American crit racer, you know Tulsa Tough. Tulsa Tough is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a crit that basically, who's Samu? Okay, gotta weld this with Samu again. Tulsa Tough is a race that basically goes up I want to say like 6 or 7%. It's a crit that goes up a 6 or 7% hill right next to a college bar. And the college bar puts on a party basically on the sides of the course where a bunch of college students who don't know anything about bike racing, but they just know that they're watching people suffer up that hill, get out there and just go completely bananas through the whole race. And you end up going up this monster, like, short, steep climb. I don't know what it is, 25, 30, 35 times. I believe we did 25 laps in the Thursday series. That was super fun racing. We also did one of the craziest crits in America, Snake Alley, which goes up a switchback climb in the middle of the crit. And Snake Alley race, The course, we didn't smooth out the GPX very well, so the virtual braking was kicking in a lot on the corners, maybe more than it should have been. But for me, I basically realized this is a cyclocross race now. Much like a really, really wet cyclocross race where you have to get off the power in the corners, that was just going to be what it was. So like a wet cross race, you're going downhill, you're coming around a corner, get off the power, you're going uphill, get on it. And I kind of just went with that idea, and it was really fun. Jasper and Deca, two of the like strong guys, stars of RGT. Those guys got a breakaway. I caught them with one to go. They attacked again, just like super dynamic racing. And I think that's the kind of thing, again, it's a simulator, so played out on RGT the same way it plays out in a lot of races in real life, like especially crits. A break goes, gets brought back, gets countered, stays away for 5 or 10 laps. Unlike, maybe this Jabot guy keeps ramping the pace up. All right, I'll start taking a few hard turns here. Next time I got some good momentum, I'll just pull through and then hold it at 5 watts a kilo. Looks like we've been dropping a few people. I hope G Gaffel, I know he normally watches the stream. Get back on, buddy. Hope he makes it. But yeah, cycling fan. We only stopped doing that series for the tour, but we should bring it back. Hey, nice, Winter. Did you download both apps? Because you got to get the computer app and the phone app. Kind of like the Zwift and the Zwift Companion, except it makes you use the Companion. So make sure you get both. Like I said, it's maybe like a little bit more investment to get it set up, but A, it's free, and B, the dynamics are so good, and C, you can ride any race in the world, ride any course in the world. So, I don't know, I think for $0, it's worth faffing around with 2 apps, I would say. We were also talking today about applications of the fact, probably take a pull when it goes below, when it slows down again. Yeah, Winter, that's kind of how I ended up here, is like the dynamic on Zwift where, oh, looks like Gaffel got back on. Good job, dude. It's him in the blue, I believe. I just got a little bit tired of the dynamic on Zwift. So many races kind of playing out the same and just same stuff week in and week out. Really, so they did an event like this. It was officially sponsored by Rafa and the Cycling Podcast around the time the Giro d'Italia was supposed to happen, called R Giro. And it was all magic roads, all from Italy. And that was what kind of piqued my interest, was like, ooh, you can do different courses every time. And that's when I kind of checked it out. Didn't have the gumption to get into it, but eventually just decided to give it a go. Especially, they made the app free, fully free, even the premium features during a lot of the lockdown. So I was like, all right, now's the time to try it for sure, see if I like it. And really just immediately, the coolest thing I'll say that came out of that trial period for me was during lockdown, there were a lot of, ooh, gotta get on. Cannot talk right now. Yeah, see those technical corners, gotta watch. During lockdown, a lot of local clubs, local governing bodies, whatever, people were looking to take their canceled real life races, put them online somewhere. And there's not a great way to do that with Zwift. Like, you saw some of it, but you kind of had to know somebody. Like, you can't just get on there and create a race tomorrow. But if you have a premium RGT account, you can get on there and create a race right after this one and invite all of you if I wanted to. So what was happening with a lot of stuff around the time I first got on here, a lot of real life clubs were taking their weekly training crit or whatever, upload it, and race it on here week in, week out. So it was cool because I could kind of like experience the group dynamics from these, like, you know, everybody has their own like Tuesday night training series, like their local flavor of like what racing is. It was really cool to just get like stuck into some of those. One of the best ones, still going on right now, Westerly Cycling Club. They're located a little bit northeast of London, I believe. Oh, gotta get on. They put on a series, Westerly VR, where they started doing weekly series, their own points tables, and started out using a lot of the time trial. If you know Great Britain, they love a time trial over there. So he started out just taking GPS files from their time trial courses, plopping those on RGT, and then we'd road race on them. But then he started getting creative with like, okay, today we're gonna go like on a route that would go by some of the historic Battle of Britain sites, or this one starts where they film James Bond movies, or like whatever studio that makes them. So it just gets really interesting. And then you can also do a thing where it's like, what kind of race do I want to do terrain wise? Like maybe you think it'd be cool to have a big climb in the middle and then 20 more miles of flat after. Find a GPS of that, upload it, and do it. So that element, combined with sort of the community element, I basically got to where I was riding Zwift sometimes to do like group rides and stuff, and to like tick off the route badges and whatnot. I was pretty much doing all my racing on RGT because courses are infinitely variable and the dynamics are good. Right now, we've got a great looking chain gang going on. Uh-oh, looks like Drader is 20. Is he back on? Drader's one of the strongest guys out here. Looks like he's off the back a little. Hopefully he gets back on. Winter, it's a learned skill. If you go backwards through all my streams, talking about how I can talk and race at the same time, not get dropped. Part of it is that I've gotten really good at noticing what's going on RGT and responding accordingly. Like right there, need to do a little surge to stay in. The other half of it is just doing this a lot, getting used to it. But if you go backwards through my streams, the old ones, like, I was probably talking at the beginning and then silent. There's Drader. All right. I will, again, weld this back together. Welding, welding, welding. And then I'll take a pull of my own. I wonder if sometimes Drader is watching the stream as he's racing. So, yeah, Billy, I did. And especially today, I knew this stage was going to be kind of a tranquilo for me. I don't know if you guys knew this, but even the real Tour de France riders, they're kind of certain stages, like if it's a time trial and you're not a GC contender, you just try to make the time cut. And if it's a mountain stage and you're a sprinter, you just try and make the time cut. And you know, I don't want to lose a ton of time on GC today. I'll put in a few good turns here, but similarly, I will say today for me, tranquilo. Oh, also, we're gonna sprint at the end, don't worry. My rule of thumb for these where I want the group to go pretty fast is work together, let's go fast together until the red kite. Red kite is 1K out. That's another awesome update with this Magic Roads update is they put a real halfway point with the yellow like arch thing and a red kite at 1K to go, which is super cool. It like auto generates that based on your course, 1K out. So that's sort of my rule of thumb though. Whoop, gotta accelerate again. Group came flying past me, gotta match their speed. Ah, cool. Thanks for the heads up, Blair. I was gonna say, I'll take a few pulls here. Wasn't sure if you were watching, but I'll take some 4 or 5 watt a kilo pulls. Maybe I'll try and set tempo on that hill. But again, I would like to set a tempo. Ideally, I don't really want to drop a lot of people. I just want us to all go pretty fast. So maybe I'll try and do 4 or 5 watts a kilo. Yeah, so this stage for me is managing fatigue. I'm doing pretty well. Again, split. So I need to match the speed of these guys that are accelerating so I can get on his wheel, and then we're snapping together and we're back. But I think that's the thing people miss is like, unless you get your speed kind of matched, you don't hit that draft, you don't get back up there. Kudos to Samu for putting in good solid efforts here. I'll take one now that he's backed off. I'm just gonna slowly ramp up to around 5 watts a kilo, because again, I wanna keep everyone in my draft. So you guys get in it. I'm just gonna keep it strong. Another thing about doing this race on a virtual platform, everyone's kind of racing individually. Real Tour de France, there would be a team who's trying to control the pace. So they would have guys taking turns doing what I'm doing right now. Go to the front, set a hard but manageable tempo. A tempo that's gonna keep anybody from attacking over the top, or bring back a breakaway that might be gone, or whatever the objective is. Generally in the Tour, it's sort of whoever has the yellow jersey, it's kind of that team's job to send people to the front to set that tempo. But because everyone is racing individually on here, no one really feels that impetus. So Drader, Samu, and myself become the self-appointed pace setters of this group. Drader's taking a good one right now. And we're doing, as long as someone is doing 4.5 or 5, whatever, the rest of us are in the draft, we're looking pretty good. That's another thing is like, all right, I'll pick it up a little. If I wanted to do almost the same wattage, whether that's same raw watts or watts per kilo, whatever. The game would not save anything for me. What it's going to do is put me right up there next to the other person doing it, and we're both wasting watts. So you really have to be deliberate if you want to get in the draft on RGT about letting up, getting in the draft, speeding up to match the speed. Because that's how you get there and stay there. You can see I'm stuck right in right now. As soon as Samu comes off, I'll take one. Might be the longest I've ever gone without putting ice down my back. So I am trying to use my knowledge of how stage races actually work to race this, and I basically know I'm doing pretty well on the mountains. I think on my last check I was like right outside the top 5 on mountain classification. Oh, I should set the tempo here. All right, I'm gonna do 5 for a minute. I'll come back to that. This is what I want, is to have everyone just kind of line up behind me. So they're all getting a drafting benefit. I'll keep a good steady pace. And you'll notice, like, Samu can ride next to me doing 4.5 with me at over 5. I think that's because of a difference in weight. So if you're looking at my raw power versus Samu's raw power, we'd probably both be doing about the same watts. He just weighs more than me, but because we are on a flat road and we're already kind of up to speed, it doesn't matter as much, the weight. Where weight really matters, I think this kind of breaks people's brains a little bit in the online cycling world, because it shows you that watts per kg the whole time, that 2.3, 3.4, whatever it is. It's showing you how much force you're putting on the pedals divided by your weight at all times. And really, where that comes into play the most is acceleration. You're gonna accelerate faster at a lighter weight, higher watts per kilo, than going uphill. But really on a flat, straight road, when you're already at speed, raw watts, meaning that number under power, all the way up there in the top left, raw watts are king. So if I would weigh half as much as somebody else, I would have to be doing twice the watts per kilo they do. Like my watts per kilo would say 5, theirs would say 2.5, but we're doing the same raw watts. They're gonna go almost exactly as fast as I will. I might go a little faster over the course of the whole thing because probably I'm smaller and more aerodynamic, but I think people on online platforms get super hung up on the watts per kilo versus not fully understanding raw watts. I saw a post in one of the Zwift groups yesterday where a guy was saying, I did 3.2 watts per kilo, and the guy who beat me did 3.1. And I know he wasn't drafting that much because he attacked and he was off the front for some portion of it. How is this possible? It's like, dog, he weighs 10 more pounds than you, maybe. And also, maybe you're not as good at drafting as you think you are. Or maybe there were some slight rises and declines on the course, and he pushed a little harder uphill, let off a little going downhill. No tell. But basically, he was like, if you're going to get that neurotic about 0.1 watt per kilo, don't ever race outside. You'll see people racing outside who did, you know, way less watts than you to beat you. because they were riding smart. They put it down where they could. And this whole stage for me is riding smart. See how I'm just trying to stay in the pack, stay in the wheels. Once the move pulls off here, I'll probably take a good pull, but he's got a good strong 5 watts a kilo going. So some of the strong guys yesterday. So winter, what we're doing here is actually, we're not following the exact course from the IRL Tour de France this year for a couple reasons. Whew, okay, gotta get back on. See, that's the thing that can happen. We're not following the exact Tour de France course. One, because none of us have the time to ride 5 or 6 hours every day. And if you don't know, most of the time the portion you see on TV is not the whole stage. They're generally doing short stages under 4 hours. So part of it is we want to keep these to an hour, 2 hours. I know the Queen stage on this, stage 15, is probably going to take a lot of people over 3. The other thing is, tour route changes every year. So there's some years that, like, maybe there's an iconic route that you want to do that you couldn't. So what Wout Van Aert have done is kind of just take like greatest hits of the Tour de France and sort of done like a build your own route based on that. So tomorrow we're doing the Tourmalet climb, which, if you are a cycling fan, you probably know the Tourmalet, famous win by one of the Schleck brothers. Tourmalet has been in the Tour probably close to 100 times at this point. But tomorrow, rather than doing what the Tour stage would do, is 3 or 4 hours of flat roads like this, and then hit the Tourmalet, we're going straight up the Tourmalet, and that's it. So it's pretty cool. There's a handbook that Wout Van Aert put out. Deadly, I think I can do that. So in America, I have NBC Sports Gold, which is like a subscription service where I can watch it over the internet. So whole stage doesn't go onto TV, but the whole stage from the flag will go onto the internet. So you can watch it, but I think a lot of people, especially Americans, they see that, I don't know, 2.5 hour time slot or whatever that the tour coverage is. And a lot of people, like, they've never watched it end to end, but they see it on their TV every day. They hit recaps. But they think that 2.5 hours that they see the time slot on NBC, they think that's how long it is every day. So I've had several times that I've told someone, I don't have to listen to Phil Liggett. Liggett does the 2.5 hour version that comes on NBC. We have Ant McCrossan and someone else. The Ant McCrossan is the guy who does cyclocross, which, you guys know me, love cyclocross, so like hearing him. Speaking of which, okay, let's get into tour stuff before this last bit here hots up. Maybe I'll do a little pull here. It seems like we're slowing down. Tour stuff. Wout Van Aert stage win. So good. Love Wout. If any of you guys know cyclocross people have known that Wout was like a generational talent for 5 or 10 years now. Incredible rider, like incredible engine, incredible handling, incredible perseverance, incredible hair, looks cool. Wout just rules. And being a cyclocross rider, I think a lot of people don't take cyclocross as seriously because they don't think it has the talent pool that the road does. So yeah, you gotta love the hair. Wout Van Aert looks great. So cool. people think that cross doesn't have the talent pool, so even when someone is just slaying on cross, they don't get the same respect from like the road people. So I love seeing the Lars Bohm, former cyclocross world champion, when he got a stage win of the Tour on a cobble day. So good. Wout Van Aert stage win. Matthew van der Poel just like absolutely decimating everybody last year. It was great in every race. Cycling fan, that Thursday crit series is on hold for the time being for the Tour de France rides, but it's coming back in November. It's if you're on American time, it's around lunch. If you're on European time, it's around okay, gotta get in here. If you're on European time, it's gonna be around dinner, like after work time. If you're Australian, I have no idea. But if you, yeah, we're starting to get a little argy-bargy here. I'm managing it. Yeah, okay. In Eastern time, it's like 12:30, like middle of the day, like lunchtime slot. So it can be a little tricky, but I'm working from home, so I can make it my lunch break. Races are normally about 45 minutes, like standard A-grade crit length kind of for the US, so I normally smash a 45-minute race, house some leftovers, back to work. Pretty good stuff. But if you want to get a US time crit series going, love to see that. I'm hoping that we get some more uptake on the RGT thing after this event. We could start building out some good events in different time zones. Got another road sign here, pretty cool. I did throttle my frames per second down a little bit to try and reduce the latency for you guys, so I'm seeing your messages coming across. So yesterday, Samu put in like a 7 watt per kilo dig. Cycling fan, I haven't fully dropped Zwift. Still like it. Plan to do some racing over there. There's a lot of good quality stuff, but definitely get on RGT. It's fun to play more than one game, you know? Some days you want to play Super Smash Brothers. Some days you want to play Street Fighters. Street Fighter, singular. Okay, Adam, thanks. Hey, is that Adam that puts on Westerly? I believe I shouted Westerly out earlier. There's also a Tuesday race series, the Beta Shangar Tuesday races. Another great criterium series. Cool. Basically a rectangular course, but it throws a little 180 in the middle, so there's always a pinch point. Good fun course. So yeah, crit racing is really what got me fully locked in on RGT, because as a cyclocross guy, spiky power, 1 hour long, all about that. So I'm kind of out of my element on this stage race. Yeah, that sounds good, Winter. You can also, if you're doing your training plan through Training Peaks, you can upload your rides, upload your workouts via Training Peaks onto RGT and do them on here. On the free version, it's only going to give you a choice of like 1 or 2 courses maybe to do the workouts on. If you do the premium, then you can choose any course, apply your workout. All right, Samu's putting in a move to cover this. All the usual suspects. Myself, Samu, and Drader. See, put it back together. Yeah, you can sync your training peaks to RGT. Do your training peaks workouts on here if your coach is doing them, give them to you. And I think they rotate that training course out like once a week or something. So this is where it gets tricky. I don't know how twisty this run into the line is going to be. This is one point I'll give to Zwift. The mini map on Zwift shows the turns despite the fact that you don't need them on Zwift. So I wish I could take the mini map from Zwift. Oh, gotta cover that. Take the mini map from Zwift and bring it over here. All right, here's the red kite. Final K. Well, Winter, there's never been a better time to work on it. Not much going on in the real world, so hit that training plan. $500. Whew. Good ride. Early snap there. Good stage win by Drader. Gaffel. Way to stay in there. Whew. They earned that. Samu did so much work today. Drader definitely deserved one too. Thanks, y'all. Yeah. Hit me up in the comments if you got any questions about RGT or I don't know, anything. We got a big mountain tomorrow. I think I'm feeling pretty good for it. We're gonna give it a good solid go. So if you want to watch me ride up a steep hill for a long time, hold the Tourmalet. Same time, same place. Later.